The hall was massive, built on a space station that floated above a dying star. Its ceiling was made of glass, and from there, one could see the endless dark of space. Thousands of alien leaders sat inside: generals, scientists, rulers, and scholars. Their voices echoed through the chamber, sharp, cold, and proud. The topic of this grand meeting was simple: the weakness of humans. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy had come to laugh, to mock, and to explain why humanity was nothing more than a fragile mistake. A tall creature with silver skin, a member of the Zathar Dominion, spoke first. His voice was deep, shaking the walls. Humans need oxygen every few minutes. Without it, they die. Their bones break easily, their muscles tear quickly. One small wound, one infection, and they collapse. The hall erupted in laughter. Next, a scholar with 6 glowing eyes raised her arms. She was from the Veyron clans. Humans cannot survive extreme heat or cold. They need food, water, and shelter. If any of these are missing, they grow weak and perish. They are soft creatures, born from a soft world. Again, the aliens clapped and cheered. To them, this was entertainment. A warrior from the Ogre Empire slammed his armored fist on the table. Humans panic in battle. Their hearts race too fast, their bodies break under pressure. They are not soldiers, they are animals pretending to fight. The laughter grew louder. Many aliens leaned back in their seats, smiling with sharp teeth, or buzzing with their insect-like wings. To them, humans were the lowest form of life that had ever touched the stars. The speeches went on and on. Each alien seemed eager to prove how useless humanity was. They spoke of fear, pain, hunger, sickness, all the things humans suffered from. They described Earth as a dangerous world, but said the people who lived there were even weaker than their environment. Every insult made the room warmer with arrogance. The leaders believed they were untouchable. To them, humans were not a threat but a joke, a warning of how weak evolution could be. But then, something unusual happened. In row 3, near the back of the hall, a faint sound broke the noise. A chair scraped against the polished floor. Slowly, a figure began to rise. At first, no one noticed. Then, as the figure straightened, a strange silence spread through the room. It was a human. The laughter stopped. The buzzing wings went still. Dozens of glowing eyes turned toward him. He was tall, but not armored. His body looked ordinary compared to the massive forms of the aliens. His skin looked soft, his hands unarmed. By all logic, he should not even have been there. Humans were not allowed in this council. They were banned, excluded, and kept far away from such meetings. Yet here he was, standing quietly in row 3. Whispers filled the hall. How did he get in? Impossible. Security must explain this. Guards near the doors shifted uneasily but did not move. Something in the man's calm posture held them still. The human looked around slowly, his eyes meeting those of the alien leaders. His voice, when it finally came, was soft but clear enough for every corner of the chamber. You speak of weakness, he said, but you forget what weakness creates. No one moved. The silence was so deep that even the machines in the wall seemed to pause. The human's words cut through the arrogance that had filled the air only seconds before. The man did not shout, did not threaten. But there was something in his tone that felt heavy, like a storm about to break. The aliens shifted in their seats. Some of them laughed nervously, trying to shake off the unease. But most stayed quiet, watching him carefully. The human raised a small object in his hand. It was old, scratched, and worn, a data tablet, ancient by galactic standards. Its screen flickered as he pressed it. Images appeared, strange, powerful images. There were pictures of Earth's wars, men and women standing in fire, soldiers fighting against impossible odds, survivors crawling from ruins. There were disasters too: volcanoes, earthquakes, storms that could destroy entire cities. And through every image, one thing was clear: humans endured. The alien leaders frowned. Some leaned forward. The mocking expressions on their faces began to fade. The man in row 3 looked at them again. "Yes," he said quietly, "we are fragile. Yes, we suffer hunger, fear, and pain. But we do not stop. Our weakness teaches us to rise again. Our fear teaches us courage. Our hunger drives us to create. And our pain, it makes us stronger than you can imagine." The hall remained silent. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, the Great Council had no words. The arrogance that filled the air before was gone, replaced by something colder: unease. The human closed the tablet, letting darkness fall back over the screen. He stood tall, his eyes locked on the leaders. And then, without warning, he said, "Earth remembers everything. Even what you tried to erase." The chamber froze. Every alien felt it, the weight behind those words. Something was coming. Something they had not prepared for. The humans stood silent now, waiting. And in that silence, the galaxy felt a shadow fall over them. The silence in the grand hall was heavy, almost painful. Thousands of eyes were locked on the lone human standing in row 3. He had no armor, no weapons, nothing but his voice and that old data tablet. Yet every alien in the chamber felt uneasy, as if the ground beneath them had shifted. Humans were not supposed to be here. The council had banned them years ago. They were called a primitive race, unworthy of sitting among the stars. And yet, against all rules and security, one of them was standing inside the most guarded chamber in the galaxy. The human's face was calm. His clothes were simple. But his eyes carried something that made even the strongest generals look away. At last, one alien broke the silence. A massive figure from the Ogre Empire stood, his armor shining. "This is a violation," he shouted. "Humans are forbidden in this hall. Guards, remove him at once." The guards hesitated. Their claws twitched, their weapons hummed, but none of them moved forward. Something about the human stillness made them pause. The man in row 3 spoke again, his voice steady. "You call this a seminar on human weakness? You call us fragile, broken, unworthy. But do you even understand what weakness does to us?" The council members shifted uncomfortably. His tone was not loud, yet it carried across the hall as if the walls themselves wanted to spread his words. The human lifted the old tablet once more. Its screen glowed, filling the chamber with moving images. This time, he showed scenes of Earth's history, not just of survival, but of struggle turned into strength. They saw humans in deserts with no water, yet building cities. They saw humans freezing in snow, yet crossing mountains and oceans. They saw humans fighting against plagues, finding cures, and saving their kind. The alien leaders frowned. The hall, once full of laughter, was now filled with whispers. "This is not possible. They should not have survived these conditions. No other species could live through such suffering." The man in row 3 lowered the tablet and looked at them. "You see fear in us. But fear is not weakness, it is a teacher. Fear tells us when to fight, when to run, when to adapt. You see hunger in us. Hunger forces us to create, to build, to push beyond our limits. You see pain in us. But pain makes us endure. His words cut through the arrogance that had filled the room earlier. The aliens had mocked humans for their needs and fragility. But now they were realizing that those same weaknesses had shaped humanity into something far more dangerous. One alien scholar from the Veyron clan stood, her 6 eyes glowing with unease. You should not even be here. How did you enter this chamber? Who allowed you? The man gave a faint smile, one that held no humor. You still don't understand. You think you control everything. You think humans are always outside, waiting for your permission. But the truth is simpler: where you mock us, we endure. Where you try to keep us out, we find a way in. His words sent a chill across the hall. Another leader, a tall creature with wings, slammed his staff on the floor. Enough of this nonsense. You are one man. You stand alone. You are nothing. The human turned his head slowly, his eyes meeting the alien's sharp gaze. His voice dropped lower, quieter, yet somehow it grew heavier. One man can carry the voice of millions. I do not stand alone. When I speak, Earth speaks. The weight of his words pressed down on the entire hall. Many aliens who had come to laugh at humans now sat frozen, unable to meet his eyes. He stepped out from row 3, walking toward the center of the chamber. Every step echoed loudly, louder than the speeches of all the alien leaders combined. As he reached the center, he raised the tablet again, showing one final image. It was not of war, not of disasters, but of something far more unsettling. It showed humans looking up at the stars, eyes filled not with fear, but with determination. Entire cities lit up, rockets launching, ships breaking through the skies of Earth. The man's voice carried across the hall. We were never supposed to survive. By your logic, we should have died long ago. But here we are. Still alive. Still watching. Still remembering. The silence in the chamber deepened. The laughter from earlier felt like a memory from another lifetime. The human lowered the tablet and looked around at every face. You talk about weakness. But you never ask what weakness creates. It creates fire. It creates will. It creates something you cannot measure in your speeches. His eyes hardened. You call us weak. That is fine. But weakness made us dangerous. The words struck like thunder. No one laughed. No one clapped. No one spoke. The great seminar, built to humiliate humanity, had turned into something else entirely. The man in row 3 stood tall, silent now, as if daring them to respond. But no one did. The chamber, once filled with pride and mockery, had become a place of fear and silence. And then, as if to seal his message, he said only 4 words. Earth remembers. Always remembers. The leaders looked at one another. Some felt shame, others fear. But all of them knew one thing: this human should not have been here. His very presence was impossible. And yet, here he was. The man who should not have been there had spoken. And nothing in the galaxy would ever feel the same again. The great hall had fallen silent after the human's last words. No alien dared to interrupt. No one laughed anymore. The man in row 3 had broken their arrogance, and now his presence carried the weight of a storm waiting to strike. He stood in the center of the chamber, his old tablet dim in his hand. His calm face showed no fear, no pride, only certainty. That unsettled the leaders more than any weapon could have. Finally, One alien ruler gathered courage to speak. He was tall, his body wrapped in silver armor, his voice sharp. You speak well, human. But words are not proof. Weakness is still weakness. Pain is still pain. Show us why we should believe otherwise. The human's eyes narrowed. Slowly, he lifted the tablet again. The screen flickered, and then new images appeared, images older than any living alien in that hall had seen. It showed battles. Not human wars, but wars between ancient empires of the galaxy. Vast fleets colliding, planets burning, civilizations falling. And hidden within those records, small human ships fighting, surviving, refusing to die. Gasps echoed across the hall. The alien leaders leaned forward, some in disbelief, others in shock. The man's voice was steady. You think humanity has only just entered your galaxy. You believe we are young, new, fragile. But you forget the truth, humans were tested before. Long ago. By empires greater than yours. And we survived. The chamber shook with whispers. This cannot be. Impossible. Those records were destroyed. No human should know this. The human continued, ignoring their panic. Your histories are incomplete because you chose to erase us. You tried to hide what happened. But we remember. We always remember. He pulled back his sleeve, showing scars running down his arm. Not clean wounds, but marks of fire, cuts, and strange burns. These scars are not from my own world. They are from your wars. From battles you thought we would never survive. The leaders shifted uncomfortably. The truth was spreading like fire. Some of them were old enough to recall rumors, stories whispered in secret about a species that refused to die, a species that crawled out of every disaster, a species that should not exist. The human stepped closer to the central platform. His voice grew harder. Yes, we are weak. Our bones break, our flesh tears, our hearts fail. But every time we break, we rise again. Every time we fall, we crawl back up. That is why ancient empires could not erase us. That is why we still stand here now. A trembling alien scholar rose, her 6 glowing eyes wide. Are you saying that the legends are true? That the Death Worlders of the past were humans? The man looked directly at her, his face cold. You already know the answer. A wave of fear passed over the hall. For centuries, the term Death Worlder had been spoken with fear and respect. A race that came from a world too violent, too deadly, where only the strongest could survive. A race that adapted faster than any other. A race that could not be controlled. The council had believed those stories to be myths. Now, one of those myths was standing in front of them. The human's voice grew stronger now, like iron. You call us weak because it comforts you. It makes you believe we are no threat. But deep inside, you all remember what happened. Your ancestors fought us. They failed. And so you erase the truth from your records. But erasing history does not change it. You can bury the truth, but it will always rise again just as we do. He closed the tablet, letting darkness cover the images. For a moment, the only sound in the hall was the faint hum of the machines. Then he raised his hand and pointed toward the stars visible through the glass ceiling. You laugh at us because we bleed. But our blood carried us through fire and war. You call us fragile. But our fragility taught us how to bend without breaking. You think pain destroys us. But pain forged us into something that your kind cannot face. His eyes swept across the chamber, meeting the gaze of every alien leader. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is tested. And every test makes us stronger. The words hung in the air like thunder. The council members stared at him, their arrogance gone, replaced by something far more dangerous: fear. One alien general finally spoke, his voice almost a whisper. If this is true, then what does Earth want now? The human's face darkened. His voice dropped low, carrying a cold promise. Earth does not ask. Earth does not beg. Earth remembers. And soon, you will remember too. The silence in the hall was crushing. No one dared to move, no one dared to breathe. The forgotten truth had returned, and it stood in the form of one human in row 3. And as he stood there, calm and unshaken, the galaxy realized something terrible: the past was not dead. It had only been waiting. The great hall was no longer filled with laughter. The arrogance that had once echoed through its walls was gone. Now, only silence remained, a silence so heavy it pressed on every chest, making even the strongest leaders shift uncomfortably in their seats. The human stood tall at the center of the chamber. His eyes moved slowly from one alien to another. None of them dared to meet his gaze for long. They had mocked his people, but now the truth had cracked their pride wide open. He raised the old tablet again, though its screen remained dark. His voice was calm, but every word struck like iron against stone. You built this seminar to laugh at us. You spoke of hunger, fear, pain, and death as if they made us weak. But all of you forgot what hunger creates, what fear teaches, what pain forges. The alien leaders shifted nervously. Some folded their arms, trying to look confident, but their eyes betrayed them. Others looked toward the guards as if hoping someone would remove the man. Yet the guards stood frozen, unwilling to act. The human continued, his voice low but sharp. You have lived in comfort for too long. Your worlds are safe. Your lives are easy. You cannot imagine what it means to struggle every single day for survival. But we can. That is why you fear us, even when you laugh at us. He took a step forward, his footsteps echoing through the silent hall. You think of humans as fragile. But fragile does not mean broken. It means tested. Every storm, every disaster, every war, we survived them. Fragile things should break. But we never did. The room grew colder. The aliens felt something they could not explain, a shadow creeping into their hearts. Then, without warning, the lights in the hall flickered. The massive chamber, once brightly lit, dimmed into a soft glow. A murmur spread among the aliens, nervous and sharp. Through the glass ceiling above, the endless void of space was visible. And in that darkness, something moved. At first, it was only a shadow. Then, slowly, its shape became clear. A ship. No, not just a ship, a warship. Massive, black, and silent, it emerged from nothingness. One moment, the space above the station had been empty. The next, the giant human vessel was there, as if it had always been waiting. Gasps filled the hall. Some aliens jumped to their feet. Others froze in their seats, their bodies stiff with fear. This cannot be, one alien leader shouted. Humans do not have this technology, another cried. But the truth was hanging right above them. The human in row 3 looked up calmly, his expression unchanged. You think we are behind you. You think we are slow, weak, fragile. But while you mocked us, we built. While you tried to keep us away, we prepared. And now, he gestured toward the glass ceiling, toward the massive vessel that blocked the stars. Now you see the truth. The silence inside the hall turned into raw terror. The warship hung above like a predator watching its prey. Its surface was dark, its edges sharp, its very presence heavy enough to make hearts race. The alien generals whispered among themselves, their voices trembling. They should not have this power. This is impossible. They were never supposed to rise this far. The humans' eyes swept across the chamber once more. Every empire that tried to crush us thought the same. They thought it was impossible for humans to survive. But survival is what we do best. His words rang clear, stronger than any weapon. For a moment, no one spoke. The council hall was drowned in fear. The weight of silence pressed down harder than before. The alien scholar with 6 eyes finally whispered, her voice barely audible. What do you want from us?" The human's eyes darkened, but his face remained calm. "What we want?" He let the question hang in the air for a long moment. Then he answered. "We want nothing. We do not ask. We do not beg. We take what survival demands of us. That is what makes us human." The silence deepened. The flickering lights finally steadied, but the shadow of the warship remained, its presence impossible to ignore. Some alien leaders clenched their fists, trying to appear strong. Others sat frozen, realizing that the galaxy had changed forever. The man in row 3 lowered his tablet, his voice cutting through the silence one final time. "You built this seminar to remind yourselves that humans are weak. But now, you will remember something else. You will remember that weakness gave birth to a power you cannot control. A power that stands outside your laws. A power that does not need your approval to exist." He paused, letting the silence stretch, letting the fear deepen. And then, almost gently, he said, "Fear the weak. For they are the ones who never stop rising." No one moved. No one spoke. The weight of his words, the sight of the warship, and the calm certainty in his eyes crushed all arrogance from the room. The seminar had turned into a funeral for the galaxy's illusion of control. The warship outside the glass ceiling hung like a dark shadow over the council station. Its size was impossible to ignore. It blocked the stars, turning the view of space into a wall of black steel. Every alien in the great hall felt its weight pressing on their hearts. The human stood calmly in the center, his simple clothes a sharp contrast to the enormous power waiting above. He had no weapon in his hands, but none of the armed guards dared to step forward. The silence was crushing. For the first time in centuries, the council had no words. They had built this gathering to mock humanity, to prove their weakness, but now weakness itself had become their greatest fear. Finally, one alien general broke. His voice shook as he shouted. "What is this? Why is your ship here? Do you threaten the Council of the Galaxy?" The human did not raise his voice. He did not move quickly. His calmness was worse than anger. "You speak of threats. But Earth has no need to threaten. A threat is only a warning. We do not warn." The words cut deeper than any weapon. The aliens shifted uneasily, some whispering, others trembling. The human lifted his old tablet again. For the last time, it flickered alive. This time, the images were not of history or legends. They were of now. The screen showed human fleets, dozens of warships hidden in different corners of the galaxy. Not just one, but many. Each waiting in silence, unseen until now. Gasps filled the hall. Some aliens rose to their feet. This cannot be real. They were never supposed to build this. Impossible. But their eyes told them it was true. The man in row 3 looked at the terrified faces. You thought Earth was silent. You thought we were crawling in the dark, too weak to rise. But silence is not weakness. Silence is preparation. While you mocked us, we listened. While you pushed us aside, we learned. And while you laughed at our weakness, we turned it into strength. The aliens could feel it now, the shift in power. The galaxy they ruled, the order they believed unshakable, had just cracked. The human lowered the tablet. His voice softened, almost gentle, but every word carried fire. You see only one man standing here. But I am not alone. I carry the voices of billions. I carry the memory of every scar, every loss, every betrayal. And Earth does not forget. A shiver passed through the chamber. The alien leaders had no reply. They had insulted humanity, mocked them as fragile, and erased their history. But now they faced the truth they had buried: humanity was not weak. Humanity was unstoppable. The silence stretched on until it became unbearable. One alien finally whispered, almost pleading. What does Earth want from us? The man in row 3 turned slowly, his gaze sweeping across the chamber. His answer was simple, sharp, and final. Respect. Or fear. It makes no difference. Either way, you will remember. The lights flickered again. Outside, the warship slowly rotated, its weapons visible now. The aliens felt as if its guns were pointed at their very hearts. The human took a step back, preparing to leave. His final words echoed through the chamber, each one heavy with meaning. You wanted to speak of weakness. Now you have seen what weakness becomes. You cannot kill it. You cannot erase it. You cannot control it. You can only fear it. He turned and walked toward the exit. No guard tried to stop him. No alien dared to move. As he reached the doors, the massive warship outside sent a signal. A deep hum shook the station as its engines roared. It did not fire, but it did not need to. Its presence alone was enough. The human stopped at the threshold and looked back one last time. His eyes burned with certainty, his voice low but unforgettable. Fear the weak, for they are the ones who always rise the strongest. And then he left. The doors closed behind him, but the silence remained. It was not the silence of arrogance anymore. It was the silence of fear. Every alien in the hall knew the truth: the galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer a fragile race to be mocked. They were a storm rising from weakness, a fire born from pain, and a power the galaxy could no longer ignore. The warship outside slowly drifted away, disappearing back into the shadows of space. But its image stayed burned into the minds of all who had seen it. And in that moment, the council realized something terrifying. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun.